As billionaire Jack Turner watches his daughter find solace in her teacher's embrace, the room spins with envy and regret. Questions burn in his mind. How did he let his daughter seek comfort elsewhere? The answer could break him, or set him free. What happens next will shatter expectations. But first, let's go back to the beginning. As Jack Turner walked through the doors of the well-decorated auditorium, the cacophony of children's laughter and the hum of polite adult conversation surrounded him like a tangible embrace. The annual charity event at his daughter Lily's school was in full swing, a testament to community spirit and the importance of education. Jack, clad in an impeccably tailored suit, surveyed the scene with a detached sense of obligation. Despite being one of the school's most prominent benefactors, his relentless calendar had often kept him away from such gatherings. Yet here he was, determined to prioritize a different kind of investment today: his presence. Lily, his bright-eyed daughter, was somewhere amidst this vibrant sea of voices and small figures darting about, likely engaged in a conversation with her friends, or absorbed in the activities set up for the day. Jack moved through the crowd, nodding occasionally to familiar faces and uttering brief, polite greetings. His thoughts, however, were inwardly focused, contemplating the business decisions that needed his attention even on a Saturday afternoon. This detachment seemed to form an invisible barrier between him and the world around. Ironically, Jack, an individual renowned for building bridges in the corporate world, found himself struggling to connect in the most personal of spaces. As the event continued, the melodic sounds of children's performances and the earnest speeches from teachers and organizers began to feel like a gentle background rhythm to Jack. Then, amidst the throng, his gaze was inevitably drawn to a smaller figure who moved with a purposeful determination: Lily. Her golden curls bounced with each step as she navigated through a group of parents and made her way toward a woman standing near the edge of the stage, Ms. Robinson, her homeroom teacher. Curiosity piqued. Jack watched closely. His interest suddenly sharpened as his little girl reached the teacher. What followed was unexpected. Lily's small voice cut through the ambient noise as she asked for her father. Jack, imagining she would eventually turn and spot him looking on, was taken aback when Ms. Robinson knelt to embrace her. The teacher's arms circled Lily with a comforting familiarity, her lips moving gently, offering words Jack could not hear, but whose sincerity he could almost feel across the room. At that moment, he stood transfixed, grappling with a tumultuous mix of feelings that surged through him: pride at his daughter's openness, confusion about her choice of confidence, and a shadow of inadequacy as he witnessed the ease with which Ms. Robinson filled a role he had inadvertently left vacant. Ms. Robinson's demeanor was warm and genuine, her eyes conveying an understanding that required no explanation. Yet it was her ability to provide Lily with the reassurance and security Jack desperately wished to offer himself, but often faltered at through his absence. As the scene unfolded before his eyes, Jack struggled with the realization that Ms. Robinson's relationship with Lily was not just that of a teacher, but of a trusted guide and emotional anchor, roles he thought were inherently his to fill. That sudden clarity left him rooted in place, a man of power momentarily powerless, standing alone in the midst of a lively room, unseeing of anything beyond this intimate exchange between teacher and daughter. A humble reminder of the critical spaces love must occupy in a child's world and the poignant gaps left when they go unfilled. As Jack lingered in the shadows of the bustling school event, the vibrant chatter and clinking glasses seemed to fade into a distorted hum around him. It was as though time had slowed, allowing him to focus solely on the interaction between his daughter, Lily, and her teacher, Ms. Robinson. Dressed in a light blue sundress, Lily looked up at Ms. Robinson with admiration and trust, her eyes sparkling with a joy and contentment that Jack found both beautiful and heartbreaking. That Lily had found solace and strength outside the family he thought he was providing stung with an intensity Jack had not anticipated. Initially, Jack was filled with an irrational sense of betrayal, a feeling that ran deep and raw through his very core. How had he not noticed this bond forming right under his nose? Why had it been necessary? As he watched, Ms. Robinson knelt down to Lily's level, her expression warm and genuine as she engaged with Lily, who nodded enthusiastically. Every word seemed to be a balm to whatever unease his daughter might have been feeling, and the laughter that erupted between them was pure and unburdened. It was an exchange filled with unblemished joy, an emotion Jack yearned to share with Lily more frequently himself. Intrigued, he leaned in closer, his jealousy teetering on the edge of understanding. He began to overhear snippets of their conversation. Ms. Robinson was telling Lily a story about a small, tucked-away library they visited during class that could become a magical realm in the eyes of those who dared dream beyond the dusty rows of books. She spoke of fantastical lands where brave knights and daring heroines triumphed over their fears, embodying courage and resilience. Ms. Robinson's voice was a symphony of encouragement, threading hope and wonder into every word, reinforcing Lily's dreams with an unwavering belief in possibilities. For the first time, Jack saw Ms. Robinson not as an intruder in his daughter's life, but as an ally in a narrative he had unwittingly forsaken. Her stories were not just tales of fantasy. They were lifelines of support and care, inviting Lily to explore a world of imagination and strength. Jack's resentment and hollow sense of inadequacy began to morph into a softer compassion. He realized Ms. Robinson was providing Lily with a reassurance and emotional steadiness that he, in his preoccupation with board meetings and financial gains, had failed to consistently provide. In that moment of revelation, Jack understood that the emotional presence Ms. Robinson offered was not a replacement for his, but a complementary force that enriched Lily's world. It was as though Ms. Robinson gently held the spaces he had left inadvertently void, allowing Lily to thrive and blossom even in his absence. As the event continued, Jack remained entranced, his previous jealousy replaced with an earnest gratitude. He resolved to redefine his role in both Lily's life and the world he had built for them, acknowledging the silent but profound impact Ms. Robinson had made by simply being present, steadfast, and inspiring. Jack Turner sat in the impeccably manicured garden of the elite private school his daughter attended, the late afternoon sun diffusing golden light across the grounds. As he waited for Ms. Robinson to arrive, he reflected on the past few days, trying to digest the unsettling revelation that had prompted this meeting. Lily had always been his pride and joy, the beacon that cut through the fog of board meetings and financial forecasts. Yet, somewhere along the line, he realized he'd drastically underestimated her need for his presence. The gentle rustling of leaves interrupted his reverie as Ms. Robinson approached. She was a woman of quiet grace, her demeanor exuding the kind of warmth that naturally drew children and parents alike. Jack stood to greet her, masking the self-reproach simmering underneath his composed exterior. They exchanged polite pleasantries, but Jack's mind was already spiraling into the depths of why he had asked for this meeting in the first place. Sensing his urgency, Ms. Robinson settled down and began to unravel the subtle yet significant role she had come to play in Lily's life. Jack listened intently, his business-hardened demeanor softening with each carefully chosen word she spoke. She described how Lily would linger after class, her little face eager for one more story or a bit of encouragement, simple gestures that Ms. Robinson realized filled the void left by Jack's frequent absences. These weren't grand gestures, but rather the everyday presence and reassurance of being there, something Lily was internally crying out for. It was a knife to Jack's conscience. Guilt twisted in his gut as he envisioned his daughter, yearning silently for attention. He prided himself on providing for Lily, ensuring she wanted for nothing, except perhaps for for the most fundamental need of all, his presence. The realization that this affable teacher had been a surrogate figure in his place cut deeper than any corporate setback ever could. Yet, amidst the emotional turmoil, Ms. Robinson's demeanor conveyed not judgment, but understanding. She recounted stories of how Jack's financial contributions had transformed the school, allowing children from various backgrounds, Lily included, to access opportunities they may not otherwise have had. Her words, straightforward yet profound, were imbued with a recognition that wealth, while important, wasn't the full measure of being a good parent. Jack felt a gradual thaw in the icy self-recrimination he'd been grappling with. Ms. Robinson's generosity of spirit was a balm to his wounded pride, and an unexpected catalyst for reflection. For the first time, Jack saw a more comprehensive picture of fatherhood, not solely as a provider, but as a presence, a guide, and a friend. As the conversation drew to a close, he thanked Ms. Robinson, both for the kindness she showed Lily and for opening his eyes to a different dimension of his paternal role. It was the beginning of a personal reckoning, and Jack was determined to embrace it fully, for Lily's sake and his own. Jack Turner, once solely defined by his towering success as a billionaire CEO, stood on the precipice of a profound transformation. The realization of his emotional absence in Lily's life had struck him with the force of a lightning bolt. It was not just a matter of physical presence, but of emotional connectivity, an absence he had unwittingly allowed to fester between him and his beloved daughter. Now, recognizing the need for change, Jack embarked on a mission to rebuild that bridge, stepping away from the relentless demands of his corporate empire and stepping into a more intimate role as a father. The shift began with small gestures, each imbued with intention and care. Jack found himself exploring interests that he had never deemed significant, whims now seen through the eyes of his vivacious daughter. Instead of sending gifts, he spent afternoons with Lily, marveling at the simplicity of her world. They would spend hours at the nearby park, Jack pushing Lily on the swing as her laughter echoed, delightful and infectious. He watched her face light up while she explained the intricacies of her latest favorite book, her passion unbridled, leaving him astonished at the depth of her young but incredibly vibrant intellect. Every Friday, Jack marked his calendar with a bold commitment: Lily Day. This was non-negotiable time he dedicated solely to her, attending school events, volunteering in her classes, and being actively present at her soccer games. It was here he discovered the inimitable joy of watching her score her first goal, the pride ballooning in his chest when her eyes would search the bleachers and find him cheering her on. Her surprised delight at seeing her dad in the stands fueled him in ways he had never predicted. Simultaneously, Jack's perception of Ms. Robinson shifted from one of quiet resentment to one of profound gratitude. He observed her guiding influence on his daughter with a newfound respect. Each smile she offered Lily was a lifeline, pulling her closer to a sense of belonging. Jack approached Ms. Robinson with humility, acknowledging her role in his daughter's life. Their conversations evolved, growing into deep discussions about the need for emotional support structures within schools. Inspired by her dedication, Jack conceived the idea of creating a foundation in her honor, aimed at fostering educational and emotional development for every child in the community. As this new chapter unfolded, Jack felt a renewed vigor and purpose. His alliance with Ms. Robinson marked the beginning of a journey towards a genuinely supportive community. It was through these deliberate acts of kindness, time, and collaboration that Jack found a measure of redemption and an unexpected avenue for legacy. The world had taught him to chase ambitions, but it was through Lily and Ms. Robinson that Jack learned the invaluable joy of nurturing relationships.